Imagine this for a second. Two investors start at the same time. One spends years chasing the next hot stock, jumping from hype to hype, stressing every market drop, constantly wondering if they're making the right move. The other investor, they buy just a few simple ETFs, and then they wait. Fast forward 20 years, the second investor quietly becomes a millionaire, while the first is still trying to recover from mistakes. Here's the crazy part. The second investor didn't have better intelligence, insider information, or perfect timing. They just used a strategy that most people ignore because it feels too simple. And in today's video, I'm going to show you the 3 ETFs that have quietly created more millionaires than almost any individual stock in history, and why they continue to dominate long-term wealth building. Now, here's something most people don't realize. When you hear about millionaires in the stock market, your mind probably jumps to companies like Apple, Tesla, or Nvidia. But the truth is, most millionaires weren't built from picking one perfect stock. They were built from owning the entire market, and that's exactly what ETFs allow you to do. Let's start with the first one, and honestly, this might be the most powerful wealth building tool ever created, the S&P 500 ETF. This ETF tracks the 500 biggest companies in the United States. We're talking about giants like Apple, Microsoft, Amazon, all in one single investment. So instead of trying to guess which company will win, you're simply betting that the entire economy will grow over time. And historically, it has. If you zoom out and look at decades of data, the S&P 500 has returned around 8 to 10% annually on average. That might not sound exciting at first, but when you combine that with compound interest, it becomes life-changing. Let me explain this in a way that really hits home. If you invested just $500 a month into an S&P 500 ETF for 25 to 30 years, you're not just saving money, you're building a system that can realistically turn you into a millionaire. And the best part? You don't need to check it every day. You don't need to panic during crashes. You don't need to predict anything. You just stay consistent. That's why so many financial experts, including people like Warren Buffett, recommend this exact strategy. Now let's move to the second ETF, and this one takes diversification to another level. The total stock market ETF. While the S&P 500 focuses on large companies, this ETF includes everything: large caps, mid caps, small caps, basically the entire US stock market in one package. Why does this matter? Because some of the biggest growth in the market doesn't always come from the giants. Sometimes it comes from smaller companies that are just getting started, companies that could become the next big thing. When you invest in a total market ETF, you're not missing out on those opportunities. You're capturing the entire system. Think of it like this. Instead of betting on the top 500 players, you're owning the entire league. And over time, that strategy has proven incredibly powerful because it automatically adapts. Companies rise, companies fall, but your investment keeps adjusting without you doing anything. No stress, no guesswork. Now here's where things get even more interesting. The third ETF, the NASDAQ 100 ETF. This one is a bit different. It focuses heavily on technology and innovation. Companies like Apple, Microsoft, Google, Nvidia. The businesses that are shaping the future. And because of that, this ETF has historically grown faster than the broader market. But there's a catch. Higher growth usually comes with higher volatility. That means bigger ups, but also bigger drops. And this is where most people fail. They get excited during the growth phase, but panic when the market pulls back. They sell at the worst possible time and miss the recovery. But the investors who stayed consistent with this ETF, who kept buying even during crashes, those are the ones who saw massive long-term gains. And that brings me to the most important lesson in this entire video. It's not just about which ETF you choose. It's about how long you stay invested. Because time is the real secret here. Let me say that again. Time is what creates millionaires. Not timing the market, not picking the perfect stock, not chasing trends, just time and consistency. Now I want you to think about something. Most people spend hours researching stocks, watching news, trying to predict the next move. But what if the real advantage isn't being smarter? It's being more patient. Because these ETFs, S&P 500, total market, NASDAQ 100, they're not magic. They're just tools. But when you combine them with discipline, with long-term thinking, with consistency. That's when they become powerful. That's when they start creating wealth. And here's something even more interesting. Many people think you need a lot of money to start investing. You don't. You can start small. $50, $100, whatever you can afford. Because what matters isn't how much you start with. It's how long you stay in the game. Every dollar you invest is like planting a seed. And over time, those seeds grow. Some grow slowly, some grow faster. But if you keep planting, if you stay consistent, eventually you build a forest. And that forest, that's your financial freedom. Now imagine your future self, 10, 20, 30 years from now. Looking back at today, would they thank you for starting or regret waiting? Because the truth is, most people delay investing. They think they'll start later when they have more money, more knowledge, more confidence. But later turns into years, and years turn into missed opportunities. And that's why I made this video. Not to tell you to get rich overnight, but to show you a path that actually works. A path that has already created millions of millionaires. And a path that, if you follow it consistently, can completely change your financial future. So if you take anything from this video, let it be this. You don't need to be perfect. You don't need to predict anything. You just need to start and stay consistent. Because in the world of investing, simple beats complicated. Patience beats intelligence. And time beats everything. If you found this valuable, make sure you stick around, because in the next video, I'm going to break down exactly how much you need to invest monthly to realistically hit your first million, step by step,